see prices climbing, often out of their reach. Some are taking on high levels of debt in a rush to buy before it's too late. Those who already own their homes want to know that the market is stable and that their most important investment is safe. Affordability is an issue that concerns many middle-class families, particularly here in Toronto and in BC's Lower Mainland. It's a real issue, and we don't take it lightly. Federal government policy alone cannot control house prices, certainly not directly, but it does have a role in ensuring that housing markets are stable and functioning efficiently. In working with provinces and municipalities to provide affordable housing to meet the needs of our most vulnerable citizens, and in ensuring that institutions and individuals are conducting their business fairly and by the rules. Our government is very active on these issues. The Canada Revenue Agency, under the leadership of Minister Leboutier, is conducting audits related to real estate property transactions across the country, especially in the Greater Toronto Area and in Metro Vancouver. As you heard from Jean-Yves Duclos, the Minister of Families, Children and Social Development, at last Friday's Toronto Housing Forum, our government's also actively developing a national housing strategy. In fact, in our last budget, we committed $2.3 billion in affordable housing, and will continue to work closely with the provinces and municipalities on finding solutions. But ultimately, the long-term financial security of Canadian families depends on sustainable debt levels and stable housing markets. The federal government is serious about its responsibilities, including making sure that our housing policy framework remains healthy, competitive, and stable, protecting all Canadians and the economy from potential excess housing market volatility. Overall, I believe the housing market is sound. But as Minister of Finance, I want to make sure that we're proactive in assessing and addressing the factors that could lead to excess risk. That's why today I'm announcing complementary measures designed to bring greater consistency to mortgage rules, reduce risk for taxpayers, and ensure that everyone is playing by the rules. Les mesures annoncées aujourd'hui visent à protéger la sécurité financière des Canadiens et à assurer la stabilité financière et économique du Canada. The first set of measures is meant to ensure that Canadians are taking on mortgages that they can afford, even if interest rates go up or if their income drops in the future. First, effective October 17th, 2016, all new insured mortgages will need to undergo a mortgage rate stress test by lenders that's more robust than what is currently applied. This includes fixed-rate mortgages with terms of 5 years or more that were previously excluded from this requirement. Second, effective November 30th, 2016, mortgage loans that lenders insure using portfolio insurance and other discretionary low loan-to-value ratio mortgage insurance will need to meet loan eligibility criteria that previously only applied to highly leveraged insured mortgages. These measures will apply to new mortgage insurance applications and will not affect Canadians with existing mortgages. The government's taking a long-term view of the way the mortgage market functions. I've asked my officials to examine whether the distribution of risk in Canada's housing market, and rather Canada's housing finance system, is balanced. So in addition to these measures, we'll be launching a consultation with market participants this fall on lender risk sharing. This is a potential policy option that would require mortgage lenders to manage a portion of loan losses on insured mortgages that default, rather than transferring virtually all of the risk onto the taxpayer via the government guarantee for mortgage insurers. Finally, a few minutes ago, the government tabled a notice of Ways and Means motion in the House of Commons to close tax loopholes and improve tax compliance with regard to the principal residence exemption from capital gains tax. We will ensure that the principal residence exemption is available only to Canadian residents, and that families are able to designate only one property as the family's principal residence for any given year, as intended. We'll also ensure that the Canada Revenue Agency is able to assess income tax owing in cases where taxpayers do not report the sale of a property as required under the tax rules. The measures will improve the integrity of the tax system and ensure improved tax fairness for homeowners. Ensuring a sound and stable housing market and financial security for Canadian families is part of our plan for long-term economic growth for Canadians. It's a plan based on the notion that when you have an economy that works for the middle class, you have a country that works for everyone. As we look to the future with the goal of creating growth that benefits us all, nothing could be more crucial than protecting what, for many Canadians, is the most important investment they'll ever make. Je suis prêt à prendre vos questions. Merci beaucoup.
Everyone has mentioned, so we have the microphone over here. If you'd like to ask questions, please do line up. We'll be taking one question per, no follow-ups. Minister,
are we able to pass the mic around just because of the situation with the reporters in the front?
No, I really need people to line up. Sorry, guys.
Bonjour, Monsieur Morneau, Christian Noël de Radio-Canada. Vous resserrez vraiment les règles pour les prêts assurés qui vont impliquer tout le monde qui veut avoir maintenant une nouvelle hypothèque assurée. Est-ce que vous êtes en train de dire aux Canadiens que vous avez peur que la bulle du marché immobilier s'effondre rapidement?
Merci pour la question. Je vais répondre en anglais, d'être certain que je suis précis. My view is that the Canadian housing market is stable. We're taking measures to manage the long-term stability of the market on behalf of Canadians' most important investment. We've been clear that the role of the federal government is to take those actions that can ensure that their properties are well protected over the long term. So what we're doing today is we are making sure that Canadians take on mortgages that they can afford. We're making sure that people have tax fairness, that we have appropriate tax rules to ensure that the exemption on principal residences is only applicable to those who should get it. And we're taking measures to make sure that we consider how best to manage the risk in the market between financial institutions and the government. So it's about long-term stability of the market and ensuring that we protect Canadians' most important investment. We think are appropriate to those challenges. We have specifically taken measures that ensure people are protected from risks as they take on a mortgage. We're also ensuring that when people invest in a home and it's their principal residence, that they have to show that it is in fact their principal residence, and they have to actually put in their income tax return the fact that that was sold in the given year. We think these are the appropriate measures to ensure the stability of the market over the long term.
But foreign buyers don't file Canadian income taxes.
The people will have to prove that it's their principal residence in Canada in order to get the capital gains exemption.
Hi, Minister. David George Kosh here at the Wall Street Journal. I'm just wondering if the new capital gains tax, the loophole that you're closing now, is a reaction to the government now believing that foreigners are the ones pushing up house prices to unaffordable levels, and why you're doing this now and not waiting until your task force is completed and your findings are done.
We've been working on ensuring the stability of the housing market since we came into office. We made the first change in December when we increased the down payment required on houses over $500,000 up to $1 million. The work that we've been doing has continued since that time. We've been working with Ontario and BC and Vancouver and Toronto to look at the kinds of measures that can be taken by different levels of government over the last months. We will continue to consider how we can ensure that the market stays stable for Canadians. And we believe these measures are going to be appropriate to do that.
But when it comes to foreign activity, is that what's driving you to make these decisions now?
We're driven to ensure that the market is healthy over the long term. We believe that we need to ensure that Canadians take on the right amount of risk. We also believe that the principal residence capital gains exemption needs to be one that's clearly attributable to people for whom that is actually the principal residence, and that they've actually been living in the home. And that's what these measures are intended to clarify.